Oh my god, it is Inside the PFL, Season 9, Week 6. I'm your former champion, El Zubaidor, Joe, joined as I am more semi-regularly always with Drac.
Hello.
Drac, it was another short week of battles this week. I mistakenly thought that you had the bye this week too, but I was wrong. What did you think of the 5 matches that played out on this short week of matches?
I think about half. Good.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot more stomps this week, I'd say. Everything kind of averaged about +4 or better, or at least in most of them.
I think there were a lot of questionable plays in a lot of the matches.
Well, no use waiting on the matter. Let's go right into it here. Oh no, it turned off my fades again. God damn it. I don't know why XSplit does that. It's like, yeah, you've been sitting here for 5 minutes. The fades are turned off. Fuck it. So here we are right in the middle of the big old screen here. Let's kick things off with the beginning match. James versus Dale, in brackets Mario, because Dale was doing something else this week, I guess, and Mario took over here. I said during the broadcast I helped to make most of the team. I don't know if Mario put in the requisite effort to kind of take a double look over the team and change things around, if any, because it was one of those things where you're rolling your bullshit, and one of the things you're just like, do Scarf Prim, why not? Now, I don't know if it was the hard way necessarily, Drac, but I learned that basically if you want to be faster than Tapu Koko with a Scarf, base 130. A lot of Pokemon hit that base 130 area. Koko is just, kind of the Pokemon I used as the baseline. You gotta be 70 speed or better to get faster than that with a Scarf.
Okay. Lots of good Scarf users at 70.
Yes, Prim is base 60, so... As we see in this match here, and in the early goings, you can tell pretty much right off the bat, in terms of speed, it's Dragon Dance Haxorus and Scarf Prim and nothing.
Pretty much. His team was also pretty susceptible to getting worn down, as we see throughout the beginning of the game.
Yeah, a lot of nice U-turns from Whimsicott in here, where Whimsicott takes the knockoff early in the game and then proceeds to scare out basically everything, because it's super effective against Chestnut, Sableye, and Haxorus, so that's never a good time.
Right, the only thing that threatens is Celesteela, so you're automatically going to get the advantage just hitting U-turn, knowing that he's either going into Celesteela or he's staying in which case, you've got the good knowledge about what to do next.
The same thing kind of happens here. In a lot of the matches, we see a theme of just easy U-turns to keep to keep your momentum going, because you keep putting your opponent on the back foot and in not a good position.
Right.
We're seeing in this match, too, I believe Mario made a bit of a mistake. Calm Mind Coco up here just starts carving through the team. Just waits, lets Chestnut die, lets Prim die, has to send in Sableye to hit the old...
to hit Willow.
To hit the old Willow here. And we see Vikavolt, big, bulky Vikavolt, could have come in right after that, and instead of losing most of your Pokemon, you'd still have Prim and you'd still have Chestnut at this point, though it may not really matter, considering here we see again the thing that happened to Dale in week 1 of Mandibuzz just slapping old Dragon Dance Haxorus with a foul play. It happens once again, and that big attack suddenly gets turned against it, and in 23 short turns, a +4 for James, where the only mistake I think he really made was kind of letting Raichu die to Vikavolt, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say that's the only really questionable thing. He hit Volt Tackle, So I guess he had like a mixed Raichu or
A
something
very
instead of
interesting.
just hitting Volt Switch.
James will usually run interesting sets, and a Volt Tackle on an Alolan Raichu is the first for me. So it's a limited success, I would call it, I guess.
Does Prim have like really big specialty or something?
It does, so that might be. I mean,
Okay.
AV Prim is the popular option for it, I believe, because you could just sit in there and shrug off special attacking moves while hitting back pretty hard. So I wouldn't be surprised if that may have been his line of thinking, but he used it against Vigavolt, so I don't know what exactly he thought was going to happen there.
Yeah, I don't know what he thought was gonna switch in
To be fair,
against
Vikavolt
it.
does a lot against. Vikavolt would have done a lot against every Pokemon in there except for Coco, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
Thunderbolt.
Or Whimsicott.
No, I mean even
Oh,
Bug would
well,
still be
it's
neutral.
neutral.
Yeah. So, and depending on what other moves it would have, and Whimsicott kind of papery against especially 145 special attack of Vikavolt.
Yeah. And he lost the AV too, so.
Yeah. So, uh, maybe it was the right thing to do at that point. Just he didn't want anything else to come in and potentially take a, even for Coco, a resisted Bug Buzz or a resisted Thunderbolt would not have been a good time.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's fair.
So,
And I guess if you see that, you know, Mario/Dale's team has almost no speed, you kind of don't really need the Surge Surfer.
exactly, and you keep bringing in Whimsicott to threaten because I mean both Whimsicott and Coco incredibly fast and half the team weak to Fairy. Overall, it may have been lost in team building, but it's I'm gonna take partial responsibility, but it also wasn't my job to build Dale's team this week. Mario's just like, I'm gonna go take a shower. Can you write that down for me really quick? Or like write down what we were talking about, and I just decided to build the entire team. So whatever. If it works, it works. So next we've got it is Jack taking on M1 here. This is one that Drac, you and I kind of helped M1 a bit
Yep, a little bit.
to prep. We both did some scrim matches against him and found that I don't know if it was just a bad matchup in general because it seemed like the only thing that we got out of it was Scarf Braviary wasn't a bad idea.
Right. Yeah, M1 just kind of got worn down by bad switches and like vault switches and U-turns and stuff. Well, not U-turns, but like
yeah, there's
James always had like the initiative basically.
Yeah,
Because like he could switch into Steelix into Braviary, he could switch Araquanid into Volcarona, he could switch Medicham into Tentacruel, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, there were a lot of loops happening here where basically anytime there was an obvious switch, Jack challenged him. Like we'll see here, I think with Rotom, just switches out into Volcarona and we see a Volt switch. Like, yep, let me just keep the momentum going. And suddenly now Volcarona's staring down Araquanid, which it does not want.
And suddenly like half of his team's cumulative HP is gone.
I think that we've said before where M1 is in a weird position with his team comp where he doesn't really have a physical defender.
Yeah, he was basically relying on Rotom, which he's fairly bulky, but he doesn't do the job of walling out those physical guys.
Right, it's not going to be like we see, Jack got Steelix because he's a tier 4 and his defense is 200. So even though he's got pretty common weaknesses, Steelix can still come in on something that might threaten his Medicham, his Rotom, his Araquanid like Braviary, and it might be worth M1 looking into potentially switching something out, like especially as we get toward only 2 weeks left of trades and pickups.
Eviolite Tangle is still out there, isn't it?
Yes, it is actually. I don't know who is his grass type. Does anyone have a grass type? He had Lilligant, I remember, and then he got rid of it for Aromatisse. Aromatisse isn't bad either if you wanted to go a screens route instead of a tank too. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I think he did have screens on Rotom, so
maybe that's the thing.
I mean, letting him take 2 hits from Mega Medicham was probably not a good idea if you're relying on screens for your physical D.
Yeah, and as we were saying with where half of the health of M1's team is gone, essentially, it makes for a pretty short battle when Mega Medicham comes in and there's not much to challenge it, I guess.
Right.
Like we saw, all he needed was a high jump kick, a Zen headbutt, and
Bullet Punch, Fake Out, whatever.
Yeah, that's all he really needed. So A +5 for Jack, where I thought that I was like, oh man, Jack might. Oh no, excuse me, it was before where +4 for James. He might be able to take the division back from Jack this week, but no, Jack secure. Damn it! There's my phone.
Nice.
Again, always my phone.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
It's always, it's YouTube telling me that we're live, so I should really know at this point that when my phone is going to do that. So either way,
Yeah, Twitch does the same thing to me. Like, oh, hey, you're live. Connect to your mobile dashboard. Oh, thanks.
Hey buddy, do you know you're live? Like, yeah, I'm sitting at my computer. Yeah. Thanks. But no, Jack's big win kept him firmly in charge of the division. They are playing one another, James versus Jack, so we might see a reversal of fortune in that, but that remains to be seen. Next, we've got Drac. Again, this is your match here, yourself versus Murphy, and I will let you take point on this one.
So my initial thought was that during our first match, he did like a really good job of bringing stuff for Comfey. I figured that like it might just not be relevant to bring Comfey this time and just play like make X amount of slots on his team wasted. But then in the scrim matches, I kind of got owned by not having enough priority, whether it be dying to like Scarf Altaria or just like Scizor or Mega Gallade. And so I figured I really needed the priority on Comfey, especially against the, his threats.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Scizor didn't show up in this match here, because that was one of the scrim matches, even with like webs up, even with all of the all the preparation in the world. After a certain point, like turn 15, Banded Bullet Punch was just carving through everything.
Yeah. So there's a few things. Is that like I have Heat Wave on Zapdos, I have Flamethrower on Nidoking, I have like high jump kick or knockoff with Mian Chao. Like I have like a lot to deal with Scizor, and especially like the Intimidate on Gyarados, right?
Yeah.
Resisting the bullet punches. So I can see why he might not want to bring Scizor, especially since the way Murphy's been using Scizor is he's basically just like utility kind of chip away kind of guy.
like Defog Roost kind of sets.
Yeah, Defog Roost, Bullet Punch, knockoff.
I am surprised though that where would I guess Altaria would have been his Defog in this game, right? Because webs didn't even enter into it, even though you had Masquerain.
Right. At the time I had thought about setting out webs, I like knew that I probably was going to need Masquerain to like live something with the Focus Sash, so I just decided against it, especially since I had like plenty of priority.
Right, and that's the other thing, is that near the end of the match here, when Comfey... I do find it funny that, yeah, Comfey was essentially a late addition, because even on the week off that you started prepping, it was kind of, you were weighing, should I bring Comfey, should I bring Silvally, kind of things happening.
Right. So, I mean, I'm obviously happy that I went with Comfey, and I had enough tankiness on my team, I feel like, with just being able to live something with Masquerain, like the AV set on Mian Chao, Zapdos, like plenty of resistances for lots of Murphy's teams. So
and you got rid of Quagsire early, which is always helpful.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing with Quagsire. He should not be taking 70 something from an Earth Power. I calced it out, and it should have done like 55 to 45 or something.
I mean, dude, like even with full HP and no special defense investment?
Like full HP, I think I tried both, but like I don't know. It shouldn't have been that much.
I was going to say, I feel like he might have just spec'd him for defense. But either way, we did have, you see here, or may have seen, a contentious moment of you forgetting to Mega Gyarados, and there aren't many Mons where not Mega-ing is an issue, because just most of the time the power behind your move might not be as good. But unfortunately, Gyarados is one of those Mons where you get an ability that could be something of a, that would have to change your opponent's strategy if it came back in Intimidate. You and Murphy were able to come to an amicable...
Yeah, it actually messed me up a little bit mid-game, because I have this like sort of dead weight, and I have to wait for something to come in against something that like doesn't really get affected by Intimidate. So thankfully he had Togekiss out after killing Zapdos, so I was able we came to an amicable agreement, like you said,
Yeah.
that I could bring Gyarados in.
And it did change pretty much on the fly, where at first Manny was saying, no, he just can't use Gyarados, and then, I had to kind of play mediator between... Because at the end of the day, it is Manny's league, and I'm going to kowtow to his rulings, but basically, it could have been a DQ, and Murphy was a good enough sport to let it keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad he gave me like the homie switch. Like let me do it. I mean, I would have done the same thing considering that Intimidate is literally a non-factor at this point in the game.
Right.
So as long as I make sure I'm Mega, then should be alright.
And I mean, it's still pretty favorable for Togekiss too, even with... I mean, this is where you see the 130 special defense of Mega Gyarados come in handy.
Yeah, for sure.
So always where he might have thought, like, oh no, this is good for me. I could just use... He's forced to Mega here, I could use a D-Gleam, and then, oh no, wait, its special defense is gigantic. So a +1 for you, Drac. Keep holding on to 5-0. Just Comfey coming in clutch. And then next we've got here Manny versus Leibo. This is one where basically we're seeing... I feel bad for Leibo because he is 0-5 right now. And almost all of his matches, like I think his differential... He hasn't been blown out in any of the matches.
Right.
I'm pretty sure most of them have been like +2.
I think his worst loss was to me. Like a +3, so...
And he puts up a good fight in all of them too, where you were even saying in your match against Leibo, where it's like you had to really play around some stuff. And I feel like this could just possibly be in this match with Manny here, kind of classic mistakes against a stall team where you just run out of something, where you have like either one or maybe two specific answers, and then once they're gone, you're spending 45 turns just trying to pick up the pieces, like what can I do, as you're switching into rocks and spikes, wishing when you can, running into the, like, Chansey's, like, the fact that Chansey can output so much offense with Seismic Toss, of all things.
Yeah, Chansey's so ridiculous.
You'd think that Chansey would not be a problem, but if you are toxic, if you're standing in against it with no recovery, and you're only a special attacker, you just keep taking those Seismic Tosses, and there's nothing you can do. And
Chansey's like, oh, it has low, physical defense. Yeah, but with like full, defense investment and an Eviolite, he's still incredibly bulky.
That's the thing. You're not gonna... Like, we were saying during the broadcast of, like, oh, I wonder if he has Psy Shock on Sylveon, but, like, a non-stab Psy Shock against Chansey...
Yeah, still only doing, like, 10%.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not breaking the 50% barrier is the problem.
Yeah, certainly.
So, I feel like, as well, Hawlucha getting toxic when it came in here, because, like, he had the right idea with the sub... He had the right idea with the Swords Dance. Manny even fucked up and sent in a Lomomola by accident when it couldn't break the sub.
Yeah, I have no... I feel like this is the second or maybe third time that Leibo's done this, where he tries to set up too early. Like, he did it against me, and I was able to, like, sort of nullify Magearna, and then I think he did it against somebody else last week. I think he did it against Murphy last week, or who did he fight? Like the previous,
I think
like his fourth
Murphy.
match.
Yeah,
I think he tried to like do another shift gear, with Magearna, like really early in the match, and like it's so hard to set up like that early. You really need like an ace in the hole, like Kamo's belly drum plus substitute Salad Berry.
Right. Yeah, if you're gonna do it that early, you need to kind of turn around and, like, you need to be ready for it. And you need to have
the right matchup.
Exactly.
You need to have like the right matchup too, because it can't be something that has like a volt turn, right?
No, exactly, and that's another thing where I'll tell the story of, once again, when I had like a weakness policy Tyranitar against Murphy one time, and I was like, okay, so all I need to do is just make sure Quagsire is dead, because otherwise this fucking Dragon Dance, this weakness policy, will not mean anything. Like, I'm spec'd exactly, so I'm like just a bit faster than other stuff, and then of course Quagsire doesn't die, and my weakness policy Tyranitar goes down in flames, and there's nothing, and I lose that match because I lose answers to a lot of different mons. And we see here as well, like, big ups to, I've never been a fan of Sniper Kingdra. I don't think it's terribly feasible a lot of the time, and in this match we saw, I mean, when you have a chance to do it, you may as well go for it, and it blew through like 2.5 mons here because...
Yep. I'm not sure why Manny didn't hit Draco Meteor on Kingdra, because even at like 0.33x, like it's still going to take off the last 10%, right?
I think that he didn't want to hit Draco and then have Sylveon come in and then be locked into it. So he might be able to get like a free wish or something. By the way, to note about Muddy Water, not allowed because it has an accuracy lowering chance. So I gave Leibo the slap on the wrist about that one, but it didn't matter because he didn't win. But basically, I mean, I feel like Manny probably wouldn't have cared anyway. But Muddy Water, don't use it.
Yeah. Banned. And why wouldn't you take Surf anyway?
I feel like maybe he was thinking that the accuracy chance would have been useful, like not knowing that an accuracy lowering move wouldn't have been a good idea. Also, shout out to Stomping Tantrum on
That's hilarious.
On Amoonguss to take care of Magearna.
I guess it took care of Magearna.
Well, to help take care of Magearna.
Also Magearna having full coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
you need your stabs because you have your coverage, which is good against like one move is good against one specific mon each, right? But then in totality, you're not doing much against the rest of his team. So really, you lose a lot of damage utility against a stall team when you do that.
That's another
mistake. In my opinion.
That's another mistake that I made, having to go against the combo of Chansey and Alomomola, where I had Virizion with a bunch of, like, I think it was like Assault Vest Virizion or something, where it's out, like, the damage that it did was not enough to take care of either Alomomola or Chansey, and therefore it ended up being essentially useless because it got toxic and I didn't have any kind of aromatherapy or anything. So Stall is a tough game to play. Manny is basically forcing you to beat his team in a very specific way that he has decent counters for. And
yeah, Chansey and Alomomola just on their own counter everything, then I mean AV Amoonguss so bulky, Sableye so bulky, Klefki so utility, and then Ditto as the revenge killer. That's so potent.
It can be very good. I don't think that... I feel like Manny still has one or two more wins going on this season. I think that both you and Murphy are a bit smarter to his antics, so it ended up causing a bit of trouble for him, but I think that, like we'll talk about in the matchups this week, like he has Gauge, and I don't think, no offense to Gauge or anything, but like history would show that, not even that the effort isn't there, but like the true like nuts and bolts of what needs to be done, like you might think you have it, but then in practice it just doesn't work. And we've all been there. So
yeah, I don't really see what on Gage's team is going to be able to take care of Manny's monster tanks. And he really doesn't have any wall breakers. He has like a pseudo sweeper with like Sandrush Stoutland, but I mean even that's not going to be doing that much to his tanks.
And we've
like
talked
at
before,
best you're kind of hoping for like play rough on Sableye or something.
and we've said before, Gage doesn't have removal anywhere, we don't think.
Yeah.
So that immediately becomes a problem in terms of Klefki. Just it can if he gets like a screen up, like the appropriate screen, he can get at least 2 layers of spikes out, and then that's basically, if he continually switches Chansey in on the special attackers and Alomomola in on the physical attackers, there's nothing that can be done. It's just going to be Chip City, essentially. And the final match of the evening here, the powerful +6 by Jim taking on Dave here. I gotta say,
Another questionable game.
this one, what was the exact wording that I used in my notes here? General passivity from Dave. I feel like that is what we saw a lot of here. A lot of roars right out the gate with Empoleon here, where, you were saying, doing a lot of roaring like that, it's nice when you have rocks or hazards or anything up that might be able to make it so you get something out of it. Like roaring to get something out of your face when it's like if Manaphy had a tail glow up. I could definitely understand, I need to get this out of my face. But that was not the case, unfortunately.
Especially since it ended up being physical Manaphy.
Yeah, physical Manaphy is definitely, again, we see weird sets a lot of the times. Choice Band Shadow Claw Latias, special attacking AV Tyranitar. Physical Manaphy could be one for the ages, quite frankly.
I guess it was his answer to Unaware Clefable.
Potentially. I mean, I feel like there's just little things that happen in this here, like a Crook dying to Bug Buzz from... I understand potentially it could have been, he's going to try to use Thunderbolt, let me get an immunity in here with Crook, and then, wait, Dark is weak to Bug, oh no.
Right, but he had to turn to Switch even after that, which is the weird part.
I
thought that could have been an easy into Clefable, you resist,
I don't know, and then just...
I don't know.
The rest set on type null, it was... I know it's supposed to be kind of the tank of the team, along with Empoleon, but, also the webs played a big factor in this, too, with things like, we see also Aerodactyl here. I believe it wins a speed tie when Alakazam comes out here.
Well,
no, it's not Magic Guard.
At that point.
Oh god, I didn't even notice that he didn't have Magic Guard on normal Alakazam. That he went with whatever.
No, he did have Magic Guard.
No, Magic Guard would meant that he wouldn't have been webbed though, right?
No. He didn't get affected by rocks.
Oh, so he's still affected by webs. Never mind then.
Yeah. It's just Magic Guard is you can't take damage from non-damaging moves.
Passive physical damage.
Or anything that isn't a damaging move. Also, unaware being unaware of your opponent's accuracy, that's a thing? Because he shouldn't have missed the Stone Edge with +1 accuracy.
Well, it ignores any kind of modifiers, so there we go. It didn't really matter in the end. I mean, this is just Mega Aerodactyl really earned its wings here in terms of the... I'm pretty sure once it came in, did Dave still have an entire squad? Oh no, it was everything other than Crook, and it just... Mega Aerodactyl
just ate everything.
Took down everything here. That 150 speed at 120 points can be very helpful, especially, I had Mega Aerodactyl, I couldn't make too good use of it, but the webs nullifies a Scarf, essentially, so literally nothing is going to be faster than you, and if you get a chance to Hone Claws, then there's
especially two.
very little getting in your way, so...
I wonder if he did the second Hone Claws because, he thought Stone Edge wasn't over 100%.
I mean,
because I was surprised when I saw it miss.
I mean, he got rid of the Eviolite on type null too, so I don't know. Maybe it was just one of those for good measure kind of things.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so Unaware says, ignore the other Pokemon's attack, special attack, and accuracy when taking damage, and ignore their defense, special defense, and evasiveness when dealing damage.
There you go.
I wasn't aware that it ignored accuracy and evasiveness, but interesting.
A Jim confirming that it was for good measure, just in case. So let's take a look at the trades and pickups, first of all. Well, I say take a look at. We're just going to mention them real quick here because I don't have the card up for James's change, where he is trading in Abomasnow, who he had for all of 1 week. His 60 points... that he had stored up, cashing in to trade Abomasnow for Aerodactyl. Normal Aerodactyl.
Such a fast team. Goddamn.
Yes, that becomes a much faster team as a result, because I think normal Aerodactyl's 130. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
and I mean, normal Aerodactyl can be good. I feel like it's more like a Rock's lead kind of type, but that might just be me.
Fast Taunter.
Fast Taunt.
Who doesn't want a fast taunt?
It fills a very Electrode-like role. It just doesn't have... It might have U-turn. I don't think it does, actually. No. I thought it. No, okay, so there was a time in this league, Drac, where I would write out my sets for my mons, like the way that Showdown, like you can import them, like the text, and I would write them down at work, and I would just make assumptions sometimes. So I lost a battle by DQ one season because I put U-turn on Aerodactyl, just assuming that it got it, and it doesn't. So don't write out your sets is the thing. Make sure, and that's why I do the thing now where you validate for OU, because it might be like, dude, Aerodactyl can't use U-turn, what are you doing? So
and it also takes care of the item duplication.
That too. So let's go and check what is coming up in week 7 here as we make our official prediction. First off, we've got Dylan taking on Mike here. Now, this is an interesting match because this could have very well been a loss for Mike, who is currently sitting at the top of his division, but this was a DQ for Dylan last time they faced off. I feel like Mike still doesn't have a decent... Without the experience of the first match, Mike doesn't know what to adjust, I think. And I feel like... I mean, it could go either way on this one, but I think that I'm going to trust Mike, even though I shouldn't.
I think Dylan's team is absolutely insane. I think Dylan's going to take it because, like, you can't really set up against, with Absol on the other team, right? Because it can just sucker punch your Garchomp, right?
Yeah.
As well as getting, like, such a good variety of, like, moves across his entire team. So I think Dylan's going to take it. I think he's no more mistakes guy this weweek.
Next, we've got Mitch taking on Hunter here. Mitch doing pretty well at 3-2. I believe Hunter is sitting at 3-2 as well here, but Hunter is playing a lot better than Mitch, so I'm taking Hunter.
I'm taking Hunter too. I don't see what Mitch really has for, like, Gale Wing's Talonflame or, like, the Mega Beedrill pivots.
No, it's going to be a tough time all around. We've got the rematch of the shortest match in league history. Jim's taking on Mario here. I want to say Mario's going to do better. I don't know if Mario kind of checks out sometimes if he's not doing too well. So I don't think he's going to win necessarily, but I think he's going to put up a little more of a fight.
You always want to see a good fight. You don't... Like, 6-0s are cool if you're on the giving end. But they're only... Their entertainment value is limited. And limited to, like, really cool sweeps like, Salak Berry, Belly Drum, sub. I think Jim's going to win. I think he just has the all-around better team. And like, Mario's team doesn't really have a lot of cohesiveness, but Jim has lots of answers for everything.
It's put together very well. We've got James taking on Jack here for potentially Battle of Supremacy of the division. I feel as though James has been something of a mixed bag this season, but he's made weird trades and pickups, and his team is different compared to the first time they faced off. I think I'm gonna... it's never an upset when James wins, but I think that James is going to pull ahead of Jack this week.
I think Jack's gonna win. I think he just has too much for James's team. Like, he has, Araquanid, which hits all of his team except Keldeo, I think.
And Keldeo's... It's not like Keldeo's going to do anything to Araquanid either, resisting both water and fighting.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Conference Cup matches here. Big Conference Cup week of first Dan taking on Dale here. Dan, I feel like, he usually gets his second wind in the second half of the season. Like, that's where he really starts. Like, it takes a little while to get going, to potentially take the division from either Dylan or Mike, and I think that that will be the first step. Beating Dale will be the first step of that process.
I think Dale's going to take it. Dale has, like, a ton of good, like, wall breakers and damage in general, and Dan's team is just kind of really tanky. Like, he's got Mega Mawile and, like, a Zelf, and that's kind of about it.
In terms of damage?
Right.
We've got...
Like high volt, high octane damage outputters, Whereas, like, you look at Dale's team, it's got Haxorus, Vikavolt, Excadrill,
Prim.
right? Prim.
Like, all these hard-hitting mons, yeah. We've got Rob taking on M1 here. It is never in my interest to choose Rob, so I'm choosing M1.
Yeah, I think M1's going to take it.
We could see.
I don't really have an analysis.
I mean, like week 7 or week 8 is usually the time that Rob gets his first or second win of the season. So we could see a surprise on that one, but I'm going to pull for M1 on this one. We've got Tristan taking on Leibo here. This one I feel is a bit of a toss-up. I mean, I know that as long as Leibo doesn't play himself out of the game like he has a few times previous, I think he might score a surprise win on the current champion.
Yeah, I think Leibo is well equipped to handle all of Tristan's threats. Like, I think Swampert gets a fighting move, gets Earthquake for Electivire, and
Superpower,
hits everything else hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Superpower, even better.
Yeah. It might be tougher to hit those EQs on Electivire. I feel like Tristan hasn't used Electivire yet. I feel like I don't remember seeing it.
I guess I think Leibo just needs to watch out for Melodic, because Melodic will wall out all of Leibo's team, except for like Electros.
I was gonna say Electros might be a decent option to have in there, but yeah, it's Milotic is never a fun time. Next we've got Thomas taking on Murphy. I feel like traditionally when these two have matched up, I feel like Murphy has gotten the better of Thomas on almost every occasion, so I'm going to go with Murphy on this one.
Yeah, I think Murphy's he's in his comfort zone, and he's like kind of been stepping it up the last few games, so I'm going Murphy. Let's go Blue Division.
We've got oh no, not the meme match. Murphy last season, I believe that the first week of the season was Murphy versus Thomas, and said they were going to do a meme match, and then Murphy brought like a half-serious team and absolutely fucking stomped Thomas.
The nerve.
The nerve. You never accept a meme match challenge. Never. Next, we've got Manny taking on Gage here. I said I wouldn't pick Manny until he won again. He won again. We talked about this a little before. I'm taking Manny on this one.
Yeah, I don't see what Gage is possibly going to do to Manny, to be honest.
I mean, we might see some surprises. I'd like to think that there's something in the bag of tricks that Gage might have to deal with Manny, but this feels like something that will potentially ignite Manny to do well in the last 3 weeks of the season, just with the potential to finish above 500.
He's going to get a taste of the playoffs.
Like, that's the thing. He says at 2-3 that he's, still in the hunt. Technically, he is. Technically, everybody's still in the hunt. But at 3-3, it looks a lot more doable. Like, even if he finishes the season 5-4, that could potentially, depending on his plus, that could get him a position in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think everybody other than the 05ers have a chance to get into playoffs.
Yeah, 4-5. I mean, people have gotten into playoffs at 4-5, but with 20 people, it's not as likely.
Right.
And finally, we have yourself, Drac, versus Dave here. This is going to be an interesting match, I believe, because it's a unique set of teams going against each other. Hopefully, Dave is a little bit more aggressive, I guess, but I think that you are going to win this one.
Dude, what's he got from Mega Gyarados? He's got Clefable, right? That's about it.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is he's going to shrug off those Dragon Dances, so as long as you have something to get rid of Clefable, you might be on easy street, but I'd still say, because again, that's all it takes, the one thing.
I'm not discounting him. Like, mistakes happen, like, shit happens, right? He could bring something completely wild and surprise me and win, but I think most of the time I'm gonna be coming out on top this matchup.
I like that confidence. So I maybe should have did this first. I was going to say I'm going to bring up just the standings really quick so we can look those over, and how things are currently shaking out. Where all of our division leaders, nobody changed position this week.
Yeah, me and Jim swapped.
Well, no, that's in the playoff picture, which I also happen to have available here. So maybe the playoff picture would be something better to look at here. Jim is now, yes, the number 1 seed at plus 20, where you are sitting at plus 17, 5-0, still very good, still better than anyone who is 4-1 currently. Jack jumps with his win from 5-3, but that's only because, you know, he had the bye week last week. Everybody, there isn't anybody who's 4-1 who is out of the top 5 at least, so that's nice. But yeah, everybody else currently 3-2 with Hunter, James, and Dave. So James, actually, he wasn't in the last playoff picture, so he's looking at man, if the playoffs started this week,
the playoff picture when like half the people have an extra match isn't exactly accurate.
Exactly, yeah. Now, how would you feel if the playoffs started this week and you had to face James? Because that's never. I would be very concerned.
Yeah, James's team is a monster. I'd have to pull out all the stops.
I'm very interested with how the seedings are going to go. Oh, and one thing to note, I feel bad for Mike, because all 3 of his Conference Cup matches are against you, Jim, and Jack, the current top 3 seeds.
I mean, Dale is fighting the 2 undefeated guys 2 weeks in a row.
That's true. That's never a... Oof. Well, good luck to him. So, I think with that then, as we go into week 7 here, Drac, could this potentially be the bye weeks are over? It is now a race to the end. Could this potentially be the most important week of the season?
Ooh, I think this is the week that makes or breaks the playoffs, so I'm going to say yes, it is the most important week of the season.
Oh, baby. Well, I think then we will close this chapter, turn the page into the next week of the Pokemon Fun League here for Inside the PFL. I am Joe.
I am Drac.
And everybody out there in Pokemon Land, enjoy your battles and have fun.
Don't get DQ'd.
Don't get DQ'd. That's also, much like MXC, don't get eliminated.